Hello and welcome to EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. I'm your host, Abigail Galván.
We have to fight the urge to put a consumer mindset on life, and we're not disposable.
Euthanasia in Uruguay, analysis of a concerning new trend in South America.
Our North Dakota March for Life is very student-oriented. It was designed to be for the students.
Marching for Life, a look at efforts on the state level to protect the unborn.
He is always so happy, and sometimes I just say if we could see life through Trey's eyes, this world would be such a better place. Life is so simple for Trey.
And the sun shines. We introduce you to Kim and Trey Wise and their special story in honor of Down Syndrome Awareness Month. Church leaders and other pro-lifers are sounding the alarm after lawmakers in Uruguay pass a measure that opens the door to legalize euthanasia. Earlier this month, lawmakers applauded the passage of the Death with Dignity bill, which allows anyone over the age of 18 who is suffering from a, quote, chronic or incurable health condition causing unbearable suffering to have access to euthanasia. The measure heads to the desk of President Orsi, who has signaled he supports it. The Catholic Church strongly opposes assisted suicide. Uruguay is the first South American country to legalize euthanasia through legislation. For more, we turn to Jason Poblet, president of the Global Liberty Alliance and an expert on South America and Latin America. He also has a personal interest in this developing story. Jason, great to be with you. First off, you call Uruguay's legalization of doctor-administered euthanasia a wake-up call for Americans and the Americas. What makes you say that?
Abigail, thank you for having us, and thank you also for focusing on this important topic. You know, it's the first time, for example, a legislature in the region has actually enacted a law that has created this 7-step process, which we can talk a little bit about, that pretty much has legalized assisted suicide. And I think that's the takeaway from all of this. It's not defense of life from conception until natural death. It is putting in place a system that puts the onus, it seems, on the patient, and it colors the language saying, oh, this is to make life better. But what it's doing is putting the culture of death ahead of the culture of life, the sanctity of life. And look, and I dealt with this personally, it's very tough when someone's suffering from a chronic illness or disease. We shouldn't be cavalier about it. It's a very serious issue. But the way the Senate in Uruguay antiseptically parsed this out, I think is a wake-up call for all of us. I mean, here in the United States, we have at least 10 states that deal with not euthanasia, that's still illegal in the United States, but a variant of assisted suicide or suicide legalization. And we have to pay more attention to it, because I think what will happen in South America, for example, is in nearby Chile, who is currently debating a euthanasia bill in the Senate. It's been languishing there for many months now. They've tried to do this many, many times. Could be the next place. But also here in the United States, we have a lot of places where we can talk about as well. But I think it's a wake-up call for all of us, especially in a country like Uruguay, which is predominantly Catholic, with unique laicized characteristics. That we need to be more attention and more focus on the culture battles, talking about this issue, and being bold about defending life from conception until natural death.
Now, you mentioned your personal connection to this story. Can you tell us about that experience you had?
My very first experience with this was many, many years ago. You know, my mom was young by relative when she was in her mid-50s, when she was battling a very difficult illness. And we were unprepared for it. And the onus fell on me, and I wasn't prepared for it either. And it was a process that I remember to this day, very antiseptic. The doctor wasn't really equipped to have that conversation with us, but I knew my mother's wishes. So I knew going into whatever they were going to tell me. And I realized very soon what they were trying to tell me, but they wouldn't talk to me about it. Palliative care was not even a conversation. There was no conversation whatsoever about things that we can do to make her feel more comfortable, to see if she had a fighting chance. My mom was a fighter. She was about 5'6", and had the energy of a 6'2" person. I mean, she was a very, very energetic woman, loved life, and wasn't well served by some of the medical professionals. On the other hand, there were a lot of nurses, a lot of people behind the scenes who made that journey possible. But it kind of was a wake-up call for me, because at that time I was working in Washington and working on Capitol Hill. And I'll share something with you I had not shared with people before. I was in the middle of a background briefing on hospice care and people seeking reimbursement rates. And I saw how life was being reduced to an actuarial table. And I found that very offensive. And I said, in the society we live in, this is easier in hindsight, of course. And this happened in Uruguay, because I've spoken to some lawyers down there and some other people who are involved with the process. We have to fight the urge to put a consumer mindset on life. And we're not disposable. You can't treat people as disposable. And we have to come out of that mindset quickly, because in Uruguay, they fell into that trap eons ago. This has been slowly baking. It's been explained to me by Uruguayan jurists that, well, Jason, this didn't just happen 8 years ago. This is a cultural shift that came over time.
Thank you for sharing that very personal story and for sounding the alarm. You mentioned that the culture of death in Uruguay had begun a long time before this legislation was introduced. And I've heard that in Uruguay, Christmas is now officially called Family Day, and the oaths of office no longer include a reference to God. What exactly is happening?
Well, that is an odd. It's kind of a peculiarity of Uruguay's political system. And the role of the Catholic Church. There's some history that we don't have time to talk about today. But unlike other Latin American nations, Uruguay's Catholic Church was a strong church, but not as strong a church back in, we're going back centuries now. So the culture of the laicized culture was always a strand of their development of their democracy. So when you listen to the debate between the people who oppose the law, they're always kind of hedging, not necessarily to the religious argument or the sanctity of life argument, but they're always focused more on the democratic debate. So they remove, and they have been removing God from their constitution. They did that a while back. There has been a species of a legal allowance for certain types of death that doesn't criminalize it if under certain conditions. As you said, a lot of the holidays, they'll celebrate Christmas, but it's not really Christmas. It's a laicized holiday. Even in the military, the soldiers and airmen, what have you, they're not supposed to bring religion into service. So I think it's an outlier. Uruguay is an outlier in that sense, but in another way, it really isn't, because they are part of this fabric all throughout the Americas, where these international organizations are trying to erode life from countries that do include it in their constitution and that do have abortion restrictions and bans in their constitutions. So that is something that we have to monitor closely, because again, this was a legislature passed bill, which is important. It will be copied. They're going to try and use it again. Ecuador and Colombia have another version of it that was authorized by the courts. So there is a precedent for some of this. And I think Uruguay, being a country of maybe roughly 4 million people, I wouldn't let that small size take away from the fact that the impact it can have, for example, in Chile and in other places, it's giving the other side a lot of energy, and they're going to continue using it. So our side and the Uruguayan Catholic Conference were quite clear there. The bishops were quite clear this was wrong, but they need help. They can't do this by themselves. So I think it's good that your show is covering this, and we should do more of it, because that's part of this battle right now, is that we don't have as much awareness on our side as you have on the other side.
Well, Jason, thank you for being here with us today and for sharing so many of your insights. Thank you.
Abigail, thank you for having us.
This October, we celebrate Down Syndrome Awareness Month, a month dedicated to raising public awareness of Down syndrome and celebrating the many abilities of people with it. The initiative was signed into existence on October 9, 1984, by President Ronald Reagan. The current administration also celebrated the initiative earlier this month. It released a statement saying, in part, quote, "America has been guided by the sacred truth that every child is created in the holy image and likeness of God, with inherent dignity and worth. This Down Syndrome Awareness Month, we recommit to this immortal truth." In honor of Down Syndrome Awareness Month, we have Kim Wise and her 36-year-old son, Trey, joining us. Kim and Trey, it's a pleasure to have you both with us.
Thank you so much for having us, Abby.
Okay, Kim, we heard that you spent 25 years founding and managing sports programs for special needs kids across Tennessee. What was the inspiration behind this?
It was, of course, having Trey. We are a family of 5, and when we had Trey, we had no idea what God's plan was for us. It was much larger than what we could ever had thought about. I went into preterm labor, and we found out before he was born at 36 weeks that we would have a son with Downs. We didn't know anything at all about Downs, but needless to say, we learned a lot, and a lot of kids have benefited from that.
That's incredible. And Trey, what was your favorite sport that you played?
Basketball, basketball.
He likes them all.
That's awesome. I'm impressed. I'm not very good at switching between hand-eye coordination sports and foot coordination sports, so I'm impressed. Wait, Trey, I heard that you throw some amazing birthday parties. Can you tell me about them?
Do you like your birthday parties?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. What do we do at your birthday parties?
November 9.
It's November 9. What do we do? Do we dance?
You that.
Yes.
And
What else? We eat.
Eat.
We eat. His birthday parties are huge. We what we try to do is he loves to open presents.
Yeah,
and he doesn't need a lot of stuff. So we ask them to bring gifts for Toys for Tots. We get with a local church and ask what age group they need gifts for. And that's what gifts we request. And so he opens the gifts, and then we put them in bins for Toys for Tots. So we get, like last year, I think we had 11 bins that we donated to Toys for Tots.
That's amazing. And Trey, I'm also on a November birthday, so your birthday's coming up, and so will mine.
Yes. See, actually, his birthday was yesterday.
Was it?
baby.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, wait, so then it was the Feast of St. Jude Thaddeus. That's
Yes.
incredible.
Yeah.
So we celebrated a little yesterday early.
You did.
Oh, that's so fun. And Kim, I have a question for you. What is one of the greatest blessings you've received being Trey's mom?
Oh, my goodness.
What?
There's no time to even go through everything. He brings so much love and happiness to our family and to everyone he meets. It's the true meaning of unconditional love. He is always so happy. And sometimes I just say, if we could see life through Trey's eyes, this world would be such a better place. Life is so simple for Trey. His brothers have learned so much about patience and always giving 100%. I can't imagine our lives without him.
Now, around the world, we're seeing more and more countries treating Down syndrome like a death sentence. What advice would you give to a mother who receives a prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome for her child?
Oh, I would say to first try to find someone that has a child with Downs. A lot of the hospitals have information packets that they hand out to new parents that have just been given that diagnosis. I know it's overwhelming at first, but find support groups that have parents that have young children with Downs. But it will be a blessing. I can promise you that in the long run. It will honestly be a blessing.
Amen. And Trey, what advice would you give to someone that's a little scared and uncertain about the future?
Yeah.
What would you say?
Yeah.
Just be happy.
It's happy.
Be
Mhm.
happy. Aw. Well, Kim and Trey, it's been such a blessing to have you both here with us. Thank you just so much for spending this day with us. And one final question. I heard you guys founded a program called Hope Academy. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, Hope Academy was founded as a gap in between graduating from high school, and there's another program that was in our local community, and it was several older people were in it, so we weren't quite ready for that. So it bridged that gap. So they would go to Hope Academy, and they would do music, they would do modified PE, curriculum, and it was taught by volunteers. Most of them were retired teachers that came and volunteered at this school. So it was a wonderful program that Trey, enjoyed, and it's still going. And they meet once a week and have a great time there.
That's amazing. Well, thank you both so much for being here on the show and just for the beautiful witness that you guys give.
Thank you so much for having us.
The Centers for Disease Control estimates that here in the United States, the fetal mortality rate impacts around 5 of every 1,000 live births. In Italy, the number is 2.3 deaths per 1,000 live births. The numbers seem small, but to the families feeling the impact, it can be overwhelming. A recent event in Italy aims to provide a ray of hope.
With heavy hearts, parents from Rome gathered together to remember the lives of their children.
There, once again, I became aware that loss in the first trimester is one of the most invisible types of grief, much less understood.
A wave of light ignited across the world commemorating World Day of Awareness of Perinatal Mourning on October the 15th. This day was officially declared by US President Ronald Reagan in 1988 with the intention of recognizing the unique grief of parents. This initiative grew over the years, especially in the early 2000s, and is now observed annually as a day of remembrance. At 7 p.m, when the sun sets, sky becomes darker and light can shine, families light candles and illuminate buildings in a wave of light to honor lost lives. Erica and Gerardo Sorci, a couple from Rome, have experienced the pain of baby loss more than once. Erica shared her story of child loss that began 2 years ago.
I had my first miscarriage in the first trimester. It was an experience I lived through in great loneliness, both from the people around me and from healthcare professionals. I felt abandoned.
After that, the couple tried for another pregnancy, and Erica became pregnant a second time with their daughter Luna.
After overcoming some obstacles, things were going well until the 7th month. Just when everything seemed perfect, one Sunday I woke up and no longer felt my daughter moving inside me, so I decided to go to the emergency room. There, they told us there was no longer a heartbeat, and that's when our nightmare began.
E quindi inizia il nostro incubo.
Mi piacerebbe sicuramente
I would definitely like for men to be taken a bit more into consideration from the very beginning. For example, to give a practical case, when I took Erica to the emergency room, she had to go in alone, and they did the ultrasound with only her there. Then they called me in basically to give us the news.
Per sostanzialmente darci la notizia.
About 4 months later, Erica became pregnant once more and unfortunately experienced a miscarriage for the 3rd time. As a way of dealing with pain of child loss, Erica started a podcast where she was able to process what she and her husband had gone through in hope that she can also be a voice for women who feel alone in perinatal loss.
Definitely don't stay alone. Not being alone is the first thing, the very first thing.
The establishment of the World Day of Awareness of Perinatal Mourning serves as an annual reminder that the pain of baby loss is real, but so is the path to healing. In Rome, Zofia Czubak for EWTN Pro-Life Weekly.
Now Now to Wisconsin, where Planned Parenthood says it will resume offering abortions. Abortions would put on pause for about a month after federal Medicaid cuts from the Big Beautiful Bill. The abortion business says it can resume because it no longer classifies itself as an essential community provider. Wisconsin Right to Life says this move is clearly aimed at sidestepping the federal law. Abortion is banned after 20 weeks in Wisconsin, with exceptions to save the life or due to the health of the mother. Good news for the international pro-life movement. Representatives from more than 50 countries took part last week in an initiative that seeks to affirm a commitment to life, women's health, and the family. It was all part of the 5th annual Geneva Consensus Declaration summit in Washington, D.C.
Men are men. Men can never be women. Women are women. Women can never be men. Children are innocent and worth protecting.
James O'Neill is the new Deputy Secretary for Health and Human Services. He has a background in Silicon Valley and in seeking solutions to cancer and Alzheimer's. He is also pro-life and added his voice to the 5th annual Geneva Consensus Declaration, or GCD, pro-life summit last week in the nation's capital. The declaration was first signed in 2020 by more than 30 countries. It now has 40 participating nations. The GCD pledges to protect life at all stages, defend the family as foundational to any healthy society, and declare the right of nations to make laws protecting life and their values.
We stand firm on the principle of national sovereignty. Burundi, like every nation here, reserves the right to shape its own health and social policies in line with its people's conviction.
The international community has no basis telling individual countries what social policies they should pursue.
This year, the Republic of Guinea became the 40th country to join the GCD. Jean Fatoumata Kaba, ambassador of the Republic of Guinea, joined this year's summit on behalf of her nation. She told EWTN Pro-Life Weekly that issues around health and dignity in all stages of life are being debated in the West African nation. The fact that her nation is joining the GCD is a step in the right direction.
Geneva Consensus is guiding our next commitment to share the common values. The values of health, human health, the values of sovereignty of our states, the values of peace and stability.
Another noteworthy move, the United States rejoined the Geneva Consensus Declaration. This year marks the first time the U.S. has been a member since it was initiated under the first Trump administration in 2020. President Biden withdrew the U.S. from the GCD shortly after he took office in 2021. And to hear the current administration tell it, the U.S. won't be leaving again anytime soon.
Under President Trump's leadership, we will continue working with our peers to advance these principles globally, taking action together to support women's health, strengthen families, and make the world healthy again. Thank you.
Coming up, some important steps. A look at the Marches for Life in North Dakota and Ohio. We are drawing closer to the 53rd annual March for Life this January in the nation's capital. The push to protect the unborn is also being carried out at the state level. Earlier this month, the Attorney General in Ohio was among those participating in that state's March for Life. The event drew several thousand marchers. The day began with a pre-rally concert at the state capitol in Columbus. Then a rally with pro-life speakers, including Bishop Daniel Thomas from the Diocese of Toledo and Melissa Oden, founder and CEO of the Abortion Survivors Network. The head of Ohio's Catholic Conference says the event is an invitation for those in the pro-life movement to be more involved.
We've seen the fruit of marchers who come to the State March for Life and are Catholic and get more involved in being faithful citizens through the Bishops' Conference, as well as get involved with pregnancy resource centers and similar organizations. So we trust that the movement is building.
And in North Dakota, its March for Life played out differently from years past amid rising violence, from the assassination of Charlie Kirk to the targeting of a Catholic school by a shooter in Minnesota. Organizers and officials made the difficult decision to cancel the actual march. Still, Mass was held indoors in Bismarck, North Dakota. Bishop David Kagan from the Bismarck Diocese celebrated. After Mass, participants ate lunch, then took part in an indoor rally with music. An official with the Bismarck Diocese says the state's March for Life is not meant to change a viewpoint because North Dakota is heavily pro-life. Instead, it seeks to reaffirm pro-life positions.
We're together in this pro-life movement, and with the students especially, they're the pro-life generation, so we want to make sure that they have, the support from the diocese and the schools.
That does it for this edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Be sure to like and follow us on our social media channels. You can find us at EWTN Pro-Life on X, Facebook, and Instagram. And sign up for our newsletter, The Pro-Life Pulse, EWTN.com/pro-life. Remember, life is a gift. Your life is a gift. God bless.